Good morning and welcome to a day in the life of a school-based counselor or social worker. Okay, so first thing first, I just feel like I have to start out by sharing that this is going to be the most unglamorous version of these videos that you will ever see. I am on the struggle bus. My husband and I decided to party it up for St. Patrick's Day weekend like we've never done before. So on Friday we went essentially bar crawling or hopping. On Saturday we had a house party here at our home with friends and family members, and then yesterday, which was Sunday, we went to a brunch. So neither of us, not that either of us are jumping for joy to get out of the bed on Mondays either way, but definitely today we were struggling to get out of bed. But I'm here and I want to share with you what I might do to still be effective on a day where I'm only just here. So first of all, everything about me currently is not really giving me what I would like for it to give. It's not giving what I would like for it to give. I have a hair appointment coming up, so I have to take down my hair. Well, I should have done that a long time ago. So that's something that I have to do this week. I have to repair one of my nails. I'm doing my own nails now, but I have to repair one, so I'm not too, that's kind of got me in a funk. Not just those two things, but the weather is freezing outside, and we live in Georgia, so it was 85 degrees, 2 weeks ago. Then it was like 60. Now it's in the 30s, and there's a freeze warning until 10 a.m. So all of that mixed with the fact that it is spring and pollen is everywhere has got me sounding like this, and thus not feeling or even looking my best. I did the bare minimum today when it came to getting dressed. So what I'm telling you is that this video is going to be a bare minimum, me doing the least amount type of video. So, I have on a hoodie, a Champion hoodie, and a jean jacket because it's cold. I do have on some black slacks. I think that means that I'm still like with the protocol, with the dress code. But I am going to put on my black Huaraches. These are my shoes that I like to wear to work. I have a black pair of sneakers and a white pair of sneakers. That's pretty much it. I'm pretty minimalist. I don't really like shoes and clothes and stuff, as we all know. Now, I do normally look better than this. I did put on lip gloss. I don't even have on earrings or anything. That's how you know I'm doing bad, because I at least like to accessorize, even if I'm not gonna do too much. I don't really do makeup and all that. But I at least try to look halfway decent, but today's not the day. So anyway, I'm gonna walk you guys through the morning routine. I probably have about 5 minutes before I head out the door, and then probably when we get in the car or before I go into my first school, I'll share with you my plan of action. But let me share what I'm packing in my regular bag, and then what I'm packing for my lunch. Okay, so as we all know, this is my new backpack. I did add this little furry ball, love it, and I'm not gonna share everything that's inside of this because I already did that in a video in what month is it? It's March. So it would have been my February vlog. Got this from Amazon, filled it up with everything that I need to go about my day and my life. So inside of here already though, I do want to share that I do have my work laptop and my Magic Keyboard for my iPad. I use an iPad as a personal desk or personal laptop. So I'm gonna put that in here so I can have my personal computer. Here's my Apple Pencil. So I'm gonna put that in there. I already have my planner in here, my physical planner. It's like a notebook. I keep notes of different meetings. Oh, cool. I have an Apple that I didn't know about. That's great. I'm gonna pack this extra battery. What I wanted to talk about is I do have 3 card games on me. I also talked all about some of my new card games that I got in that previous video, but I will share these 3. This is the mindfulness game, and it's for ages 8+. I do like this. I've been doing this a whole lot. Do I need to adjust my lighting? Yeah, hold on. Okay, I did need to adjust my lighting, but it wasn't my camera lighting, it was my blinds. I needed to close them. So I've been loving the mindfulness game. It is very cool. I guess I'll just kind of share with you what it's about a little bit. So basically there are some true or false cards, and then, so I've been asking my students, I've been providing psychoeducation about mindfulness, and then we do the true or false cards to talk about what mindfulness is and isn't, is and is not, so they are sure. So I'm sure and confident that they know what mindfulness is. And then the rest of these are so many different activities. So we've been working on this for the past couple weeks. I've been doing it with a lot of my students, and some of them are so simple that I can do it with my littles, even though I think my youngest probably is 8, so we're good there. But there's so many cards and there are mindfulness activities on the cards, and they have directions and all of that. So I have been doing that. So I'm not gonna do that today. I also have Let's Talk, which is for teens, but 13 to 18 teens. But I also can get away with doing this with some of my smaller kids because they're pretty knowledgeable for the most part. And then this one is called You Know, which I just bought it because it had like some cool questions on it. But I went on to learn that it's actually like a spinoff of Uno. And here are the game rules. Got this off Amazon too. The cool thing is that there's a bunch of cards in here. They're yellow, skips, all that kind of stuff. And on the on the cards, there are would you rather questions, such as, would you rather have the #1 song on the radio? What kind of music? Or your family and friends never move away, and why? So there's a would you rather question, and then to further prompt them to really open up and talk more, there's a little secondary question, if you will. So we've been doing that. Here's the thing. I like to do it in groups. And so I think this is what the focus of today's sessions are going to be. So here's the game plan for today, which is Monday. This is pretty much the game plan for every Monday. On Mondays, I like to hit 2 schools. They're both elementary schools. They're not really close in proximity. It's just, I feel like the reason why I go there on Monday, go to those schools on Mondays, is because I feel like at the beginning of the year, I worked out with some folks who have offices there when I could borrow their space, if I told them, of course, a time frame and a date that I would be there. So like, as an example, on Mondays, I get to borrow the mental health counselor's office because she's not there on Mondays. So I kind of just stick to my schedule. I don't like mixing it up. I know teachers and other people might get a little stressed about that, but the fact of the matter is I enjoy the consistency in my own schedule. I enjoy providing the consistent schedule to my students so they know what days and times I'm coming. And most importantly, I really have to just get in where I fit in because there aren't a lot of quiet, uninterrupted spaces where I can meet with my kids at all of these different schools. So she's not there on Mondays, therefore I take that as an opportunity to go to that particular school. And then I kind of do that for the rest of the schools as well. Whenever the room is available, that's when I take advantage of it. So I really like to stick to that. But anyway, on Mondays, I have 4 kids to see at the first elementary school and then 3 to see at the second one. However, oftentimes I will do groups, but typically not for my elementary age children. I almost never, I think I've done 1 group in the past 2 school years with my elementary age kids. I normally will do groups with my middle schoolers and sometimes with my high schoolers. However, today I really want to play this game and I really want it to be more than just me and another student so I can prompt them with these questions. The point of it, if I didn't mention it already, is that when you put down the card, you place it down and then you answer the question that's on the card. We actually both do. But anyway, I think I might want to do a group. So I think that's what I might do when I get to school. But if I do groups, I don't have to do any more time than what I typically would. Like if I normally see each of the kids for 20 minutes, then if I do a group, I don't have to see them for any longer. The group would count as their session for the week. So really, in theory, if I did 2 groups today, I would be finished with work I would be finished with work altogether in 40 minutes. But life does not always go according to plan, of course. So I don't really know what today is going to hold, but I do have plans of attempting to do some groups. But let me share with you what I'm packing for lunch and all of that. This is probably the worst version of a lunch that I could conjure up. But I always have to have a fruit or a vegetable with every meal. It's a thing, whether it's really healthy or not. You know what I just thought of? No, I don't. I was gonna say, I think I actually have a healthier option, but I don't. We do have some fruits and vegetables left over from like a veggie tray that someone brought, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and just eat this because I just can't be bothered. So what typically would happen is that if we had our lives together on the weekend, especially on Sunday, we would take that to do a real thorough reset. Like I said, this is a struggle bus week or day, and we would have prepared some healthy meals and whatnot for the week. But yeah, we went hard in the paint this weekend, so I'm having to eat this for lunch, which isn't my favorite, but it's okay. I'm gonna take a Coke Zero because Coke Zero is life, and I'm gonna take this apple again, but I'm not gonna put it in my bag because I don't want it to be cold, because I don't like cold fruit. So I'm gonna put it back in my bag, and then I'll throw this in the refrigerator when I get to work. And I also have my Stanley cup filled with ice water. I also have to share with you a dream job update to kind of share with you what my current thoughts and feelings are about this job. So let's get this bag packed up.
When I go with confidence, when I go we roll our hips and take a sip on it, take a trip on it. When I go you can go slow, wind it up all night, baby take your time, let me know I want.
Okay, so before we head to work, I feel like we should talk about this dream job situation. So I began working this job in January of 2022, which would have been kind of like smack dab in the middle of, yeah, it was right before the second semester. So I basically came in at the second half of the school year. And then we all know how I felt about the job originally. But I did decide to return in August for my second year, which would technically be, you know, not a full year because I didn't work a full year for the previous school year, but I'm currently in the thick of finishing out my first full year. Cannot believe I've made it to almost the end of March. But basically, my current thoughts, I was just talking to, at our party, we had a lot of my old coworkers, not a lot of my current ones, a few of my current coworkers, and you know, friends and family members and whatnot. One person was asking me if I would ever go back to my previous job, and the answer is that I actually would. Here's where I am right now. I feel like at all times I have three options. Option A is to stick with my current job, obviously. Option B is to go back to my previous job only because I actually really liked it. And then option 3 is to find a new job. Of course, I have been looking for jobs and interviewing and all of that. I've even gotten some offers, some job offers. But like I was telling my coworkers, my next job would have to come with at least a $20,000 pay increase, which I know seems wild, and that's a lot of money, and that's a huge demand, I guess, that I'm putting on my income or of another job. But the fact of the matter is, when I weigh the pros and the cons of leaving this job and going to another job, the one thing that continues to be a huge and large contributing factor is the fact that I currently, while I'm not head over heels about this job, of course, I currently do a good job, obviously. My new supervisor, who is like my 5th supervisor since I've started the job, I actually love and have been enjoying working with, let's put it like that. And you know, if she does even 2% of what she hopes to do on our behalf as our supervisor, then, you know, we're going to be in the money. The next school year should be fine, but I don't know. We'll have to see about that. But the fact of the matter is that at my current job, I actually work less than half of the days of the year. So if there are 365 days in the year, technically with my personal days and all of that, and with all of the summers off and holidays and stuff, I work less than half of the days of the year. And we all know that I don't love getting up and going to work every day. It's just something that I have to do. So the reason why my previous job, even though I really liked it, I have a good friend who still works there. I have people who I love to hang out with, who still work there. The fact of the matter is that the reason why it's even an option is because technically I could go back to that job and earn a similar salary. And I guess if I played my cards right, I could go back to having my previous schedule as well, because I technically worked full time, but I didn't work 40 hours per week. So when I was doing the pros and the cons on my current job and my previous job, the fact of the matter is when I added up all of the hours that I would have to work, they would be about the same, even though I'm currently working for the public school system, and I knew that I would have, you know, a lot of days off and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is when you go tit for tat, when it comes to hours, they're actually about the same. Again, the salary is kind of about the same, and so that's why my previous job is always in the running for a job. So that's why I'm saying if I were to leave this job, where, you know, my husband works for the public school system, so that's really also a huge factor into why I feel compelled to continue this job or continue to try out public education, because my husband works in public education and we do have pretty much the same schedule. But the fact of the matter is, that's not anything. If another job came available and it came with at least a $20,000 pay increase and it looked like something I would be halfway good at, because that's how I apply for jobs that I think I would be good at, not jobs that I'm thinking I'm gonna fall in love with, because that's likely not going to be the case just because of how I view work. But if a job came available like this job I recently applied for, and the salary suggests that the increase would be at least $20,000, so, and I loved everything on paper about this job. Of course, I haven't interviewed or anything yet, but if I went to that job interview and I felt that I could carry out the job duty successfully and the hours were good and all of that kind of stuff, and the pay was what it actually suggests, then I would easily leave my current job for that job. So yeah, I'm just pretty much out here. I'll keep you posted on what becomes of my life. I don't really know if I'm planning to come back for the next school year. I very well could, but I also couldn't. Okay, so we are here at school, and I have decided that I do want to do a group. So I'm going to try to do the group with all 4 students. Now, here's the issue, and this is why I don't like doing groups. With the kids that I'm going to be working with today, which is pretty much the standard for any student that I am working with, these 4 are smaller, so they're elementary aged, and they all struggle with social interactions and peer interactions, even adult interactions, but specifically interacting appropriately with peers. So as you can imagine, bringing 4 of them into one space is chaotic. It's not my favorite, but interestingly enough, because they do struggle with peer interactions, I feel like it's great when I get to get them together with peers, because typically, like I said, I do individual sessions. So unless I observe a student in their natural element in their classroom, I don't really get to see up close and personal what their peer interactions are exactly like. So there's beauty in me pulling together these different groups every now and again just to see how they are interacting with their peers. But most importantly, that's when I can do modeling and I can, you know, provide some teachable moments, and that's when I can really get in there and help and guide those conversations and those interactions and moving them from being inappropriate to more appropriate. So there's beauty in the groups, don't get me wrong, but I don't naturally navigate towards them because they're not my favorite. And I feel like they're not as intimate. So when I'm not trying to be as intimate, then it's fine. I can do a group, like if I want to play that card game with him, which is what I want to do. But and then we can practice turn taking and practice patience. There's so much that you can teach just in basic activities. But when I want to be more intimate, then I prefer one-on-one sessions, which is what I do 98% of the time.
When I go with confidence, when I go Louis roll like hips and take back sip on it, take a trip on it. When I go, you can go slow. Wind it up all night, baby, take your time. Let me know what I want. When you turn me around, what I want.
Okay, so here's the room that I used. It's the conference room. It's very big, as you can see, and the tables all basically come apart. So it's kind of like a puzzle piece table. So since there were 4 of us, I just took apart this little piece and then we sat around this area. But let me get situated and I'll update you on what's happening. Okay, so let me update you on what has just taken place. One of my students was not here, so therefore we did a group session with just 3 of us. We never got to the actual activity because I did a lot of modeling and coaching and all of that throughout the session. Like all 3 of them, which if the other one was here, then all 4 of them would know each other, but the 3 of them know each other. And that's part of the reason why I don't really do groups, because a lot of my kids know each other and it just makes it that much more difficult trying to get them to be attentive, because a lot of them do struggle with impulsivity and poor focus and limited attention and all of that. So sometimes it's quite the feat, but today wasn't so bad. Like I said, we never got to the actual activity because I did a lot of modeling and coaching and redirecting throughout the session. As an example, one student called out a flaw, if you will, in another student, which I know is something that he really struggles with, aka he struggles with inappropriate peer interactions when it comes to talking about other peers and adults and just blurting out different random inappropriate responses. So because when he started that was like a domino effect, and so we kind of talked about what he did, why it was inappropriate, and kind of processed that in a group setting. And then that one thing kind of led to the next. And so by the time that it was over with, I had done a similar type of exercise with each different kid, because they all would go on to do something that was, or share something that was inappropriate, or do something that was inappropriate. So we spent a lot of time trying to get back to our topic at hand, which was about inappropriate responses and basically like effective decision making and social interaction. So we didn't get to the activity because we spent like 30 minutes literally processing that. So that's kind of what happened with that session. But anyway, I want to share with you what I'm about to do. So when a student isn't here, I will just mark them as absent. So I'll go into the system, I'll go to their name and I'll go to their file, and then I'll write a note, but not really. I'll just create a note and I'll mark them as absent. And of course, I wish I could show you, but all of my documentation is beautifully outlined. I have different meetings and such, just everything right there. It's a beautiful chronological order of things when it comes to notes and sessions that I've done with students and all of that. So you can always kind of see what's been going on with me. So we don't bill Medicaid or anything, but it's more so for documentation purposes for myself. And also whenever it comes time to do an IEP meeting or this or that and the third, I have documentation that I can share with the teachers, or the teachers can look at, and we can all see what's been going on with that student, what they have been working, like a teacher can go in and look and see what they've been working on with me, or how many sessions they've had, or how many sessions they were present for or absent for or refused or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the absent note, and then I'm going to write the note for the other three. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them all for the same time. So all of their notes in their different files will be from 10 to 10:30 a.m. and the notes will essentially be the same about the topic at hand at what we discussed, but the progress will be different because each kid obviously has different progress and really different goals and all of that. But the actual bulk of the treatment, if you will, and the topics that we discussed and all of that is going to be the same for all three of them. So that's going to be easy. And then what's going to happen is by then it'll be like 11 or so, and I'm going to head to my next school where I'll eat lunch, because I do have a little room there that I can have to myself because the therapist isn't there on Monday. So I'll show you that room, but I'll eat lunch, and then I have 3 kids to see there. Like I mentioned, I could potentially do a group, but I don't know. We'll have to see. It's a weird dynamic of children at the next school, so it might not lend itself to a group, but that's pretty much what's happening right now.
When I go with confidence, when I go to roll our hips and take a sip on it, take a trip on it. When I go, you can go slow.
So it turns out if I'm really careful, I can show you this note without sharing any confidential information. So basically, like I mentioned, I'm just going to put the date in and that the student was absent, and then that's it. That's all I'm doing for this note. So I'm literally just going to save it, and then I'm going to sign it, which I can't share because it'll say the name. But basically, this is what an absent note would look like. So this would be an example of a note that I'm writing from today. This is just like a basic version of it. I could zhuzh it up. I can make it, longer or more fancy or whatever, but I really don't have to do any of that. Essentially what we did today was role play appropriate and inappropriate peer interactions, specifically appropriate peer interactions. So that's why I just put role play in there. But like I said, sometimes I might do a fancier note or try to capture more of what we did in our session than that. But basically that's kind of like a baseline. And then I can just start and build from there. I just kind of try to capture exactly what we did, whether it was role playing or processing feelings or identifying appropriate peer interactions or whatever, I try to state what exactly the focus was, and then like I said, I can kind of get fancy with the progress and talk about how they did specifically in the session and all of that. So that's my method for writing notes. Okay, so quick check-in. It is 12:34. I'm at my second school. I just finished eating lunch, which was the pizza and the wings, and then there was also like a cookie cake situation sitting out for staff. So I took a piece of it, although something tells me I may not actually. I just really want to try it, so I took the smallest piece without like cutting it up and being weird. So I just really want to taste it and see what it tastes like, but I don't know that I'm actually going to eat it. But when I got here, I learned, well, the secretary was like, well, you know, the mental health counselor is no longer here, right? No, I didn't know. So this room is actually empty. I'm going to give you a little tour and share it with you. But apparently she moved out of state, and they do already have a replacement for her. That doesn't really mean a whole lot to me, you know, as far as my job goes. It's just that, of course, I just shared this room, but the secretary was saying she'll let me know or get me some information about the new person. This is an outside agency that comes in, so I have no idea who the person is or, you know, what their name is or anything like that. So once she lets me know her new schedule or her name or something, I can see what her schedule is. If it's the same and she's not here on Mondays, then I'll just stay here and keep coming here Monday afternoons. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully the schedule that she passed on, that the previous counselor passed on, will be the one that this new one upholds, so I don't have to switch around my schedule. But that is, you know, like a change that could come up. Also, another change came up. I have a meeting on Thursday that I just got an invite for. So, you know, I go to my high school on Thursday, but after I leave there, now I'm going to go to one of my middle schools, which is the one that I go to tomorrow and Tuesdays, because I have a student who recently, basically, they did something and now they're going to be removed from school and placed elsewhere, but they of course still have to get their education. So just because a kid is removed for a certain amount of time, 45 days, 60 days, 20 days, 30 days, however long it is, it doesn't mean they're just at home chilling. We still have to service them. So either they'll have to go to like an alternative school, or he might have to do home based and have somehow we have to set up some type of way where he can access his services and all of that. So we need to talk about that on Thursday. So that is going to take place. So that's a new meeting that popped up. But here at this elementary school, they stop at 2:30. So I have 3 kids that I want to see here. I don't think I'm going to do a group. I think I'm going to do individuals now that I'm here and thinking about it. And so for which case I will have just enough time to finish up before they start packing up. So if they leave here at 2:30, I'm planning to finish with my third one around 2. And then, you know, that's when, you know how the end of the school day is. So I just really try to beat all of that at whatever school I'm at. Whatever time they close or what time school ends, I try to beat all the chaos by at least an hour, preferably, but if not, at least 30 minutes, just so I get to have an actual decent session and it's not rushed and all of that. So anyway, that's kind of what's happening now. Let me show you this room. So this is what it looks like when you first walk in, and then there's a desk, a chair, another chair, a little table, a couch, a rug, and a bookshelf that's very dusty. Now, before she actually left, there was a lot of stuff in here, like stuffed animals and a lot of kid-friendly types of things, games, activities, lots of things that I would actually borrow, or that she said that I could use and borrow when she's not here. So I would take advantage of some of the games and activities that she had available, but she's no longer here. I assume the new therapist might fill up the room with some different things, and you know, she might offer for me to be able to use it. But yeah, this is what the room looks like, and I won't show you too much out there. There's a little window here, and that's where the actual hallway is. So this is just like a little room inside of the school building. So it's just like a little tiny room. So it's 12:39 now. I have it in my head I'll get back to work at 12:45. So that is what is going to happen. Let me just show you this angle. That's what I'm talking about. There's a little window, but really it's a hallway. And then I covered up all the confidential stuff. So yeah, everything. Oh, that light's out. I wondered why it was a little bit dark. But yeah, it was super dusty. So hopefully the new person will dust. If not, I may have to, even though I don't have plans of using that. But she has so much stuff there that it's no wonder why it was dusty. It was just so many like games and activities. But yeah, this is the room that I use here on Monday afternoons. And the door's always locked, so I just get the key from the secretary, then take it back to her, and then try to lock the door back for, you know, just because this is somebody else's room and they have different items and private things in here. So this is my workspace for the rest of the afternoon. I guess I'll check in with you guys maybe after my final session, or maybe not. But since I don't really know, I'm about to plan what I want to do with each kid, which I do leave some space in between each session to type a note if I want to, and to prep for the next session. Sometimes I can prep for all of the sessions at the beginning of the day, but mainly it makes sense in my head to just leave time in between each session, like 15 to 20 minutes or something, to type the note from the previous session and to prep for the next session, whether that's, you know, getting out a notebook, piece of paper, printing off something, going to my car to grab a different activity, because I have different activities and things that live in my car, that type of thing. Checking my emails, I just leave time in between to do those types of things. Oh, I didn't show you. Did I show you my little cookie thing? This is my cookie thing that I want to try. So I'll have to see how that tastes. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about it. I'm not really a huge sweets person nowadays, so I don't know. But let me go do some stuff, some prep, and I'll check in with you in a few. Okay, so it is the end of the school day now, and I'll just recap what just took place. I met with one student and we did play the activity game, and it was great. And then I also did the same thing with another student, except the second student, they actually do not communicate using their words at school. It has been a long time issue that the student does communicate and use their words at home and other settings, but at school they do not. So we essentially played the exact same activity, except she did not communicate with words. So she just has some accommodations in place in her 504 plan and some other strategies that we use to help her with communicating. I normally let her write on an iPad. I let her use gestures, or we kind of figure out some kind of system for gestures whenever we meet, depending on what the activity might be, or she'll write on paper just with a pen. So there are a lot of different things. We have good sessions. It's just that she does not communicate using her words. So doing that activity was a little different than with the previous kid, who definitely does not have any issues with verbal communication, but we got through it nonetheless. And then my third kid, I've been having some trouble with him because it has become increasingly difficult for us to do our one-on-one sessions. So I have been collaborating for weeks with his teacher, his paraprofessional, or his aide or shadow. And I just also collaborated with the assistant principal and the principal to try to figure out what information or knowledge that they could share with me that might help me with trying to do our sessions, because one-on-one isn't working. We thought about bringing his aide into the sessions, except that was kind of, we're going to put that on, that's halted. We're going to try something else first. So what we're going to try is kind of like a reward system. They have agreed. They're like, well, he's really motivated by Chick-fil-A. So if you want to do X, Y, and Z, then we'll even buy the Chick-fil-A, let me know now. We'll order it whenever you need to. So basically what's going to happen is next week, we're going to try something different. I'm going to sit down with him, hopefully, or walk with him. We can't even make it to the room typically to sit and talk, because it's just a lot just trying to get from A to B with the student. But we're going to have a conversation about kind of like a rewards chart, maybe even bring him to their office so they can help reinforce that and be a part of it, since they're a part of it anyway. And talk about some expectations for our sessions and just some things that I would like to see from him, and set out exactly what would be required of him to do or not do to earn the Chick-fil-A. So I'm glad they shared that with me. I mean, I could buy the boy Chick-fil-A myself at this point, but we're going to try that and see what we can do, because he's having a rough time. It's one of those cases where he's not really getting anything from counseling. He's not really receptive to it. It's not really working out, honestly. However, he very much needs it, and he's really likable. So I'm happy to keep trying and to try different things and to go to great lengths, because this is what you call great lengths, because I've not had to go to such great lengths before with any of the other students. So I'm willing to try all the things. So we're going to try that for a few weeks or whatever and see what that does. We'll start that next week. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the workday. Was there anything else I wanted to share with y'all? Pretty sure that's it. Today's been kind of interesting. I will say that this job in and of itself is quite simple. It's pretty straightforward and to the point, I would like to think. It's just that working for the public school system and all the struggles that it brings makes this job way more difficult than what it ever should be. Also, bouncing around from school to school makes it a little bit more difficult. I guess preferably I would like to be at one school all day, supporting a set amount of students at one school all day, every day, so I can be more in the loop and potentially make a greater impact than bouncing around all of these different schools each week. Because I could even do extra work if I were stationary or stationed at one place all day. So that would be preferred. But in and of itself, the job's pretty much a cakewalk. But like I said, there are trials and tribulations that come with working for the public school system. So that's pretty much today. It was a pretty chill day, pretty easy day. Every other day is pretty much the same. Again, most of the issues that I have come from not actually the job itself, like the actual work that I do one-on-one with students or even in group sessions, but just literally everything else. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below in the comment section. This video should be going up in a couple days, so you should see it soon after I film it, you know, if I have my life together. But yeah, that's pretty much my day at work. It's quite simple. It probably didn't look too complex because it really isn't in and of itself. Oh, I did want to mention that for my calendar set up, I have every student scheduled at a specific time on a specific day throughout the week. So I have an appointment scheduled for every student on my calendar. Then I also have meetings and lunch breaks built in and other things like that. And I do color coordinate. So all of my regular sessions are like the regular calendar color. And then my lunch breaks that I literally schedule in each day are purple, because that's my personal color. And then also I have when I'm doing documentation, I have when I'm doing observations, and I also have meetings. They're green. So I like for them to really stick out from everything else. But anyway, that's pretty much my Outlook calendar and how it's set up. That's all through my work email, my work Microsoft Office setup situation. So that's kind of how I stay organized and on track at work. The rest of the week isn't looking too stressful, so that is promising. The rest of the month doesn't look too bad. Actually, I think things are about to amp up, of course, because end of the school year, and it's going to be testing, and we're going to have to do transition meetings for my students who are transitioning to a different school, like from elementary school to middle school, so we can make sure their services will be in place now more than ever, because we're going to be starting school like 3 weeks earlier and in July rather than the middle of August or whatever. So all of that is going to be imperative. I'm sure I'll be stressed and or annoyed, you know, like April through the end of May or the end of the school year. But that's pretty much a day in the life of what I do. And like I said, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down in the comment section. I am heading home now. Probably going to do a little bit of cleaning, light cleaning. Probably going to do maybe order our groceries, since we didn't do that from this past weekend because we were out living our best lives. And then what else am I going to do? Oh, we have a CPA appointment to go pick up our taxes, and you know, my CPA is going to walk us through, our CPA is going to walk us through all of that. So that's really what today holds. We would typically go to a workout class. However, we have to go see our CPA at the exact same time of the workout class. And I really don't have the capacity to just go to the gym just to go and work out there. I really only care to go to the gym to go to classes. And I don't feel like walking either because it's cold. It's the first day of spring, but it's honestly feels like the first day of winter. and everyone's been complaining about it because I think it was a freeze warning until 10 a.m. So it's a hot mess. But that's pretty much what the rest of the evening will hold. If I'm feeling frisky, I'll try to start editing this video, but I'm probably not. I'll probably just be further recovering from the weekend. So that is going to be it for this video. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, subscribe if you're new and if you're liking what you're seeing, and I will catch you guys right back here in a few days in a brand new video. Bye guys.